What's going on, guys? Today's video is the low budget fantasy draft challenge. Basically, our max amount of cap we can spend is the salary cap floor, 61 million. I'm going to pretend that Scrooge McDuck has bought the Anaheim Ducks, our team, and he's put that new rule in to kind of, squeeze out every penny he can from this team. Now, as you guys can see, we're already at the fantasy draft. I'm going to close my eyes here, randomize, see where we pick. I feel like that's a good spot there. 14, okay, so it's pretty close to the middle. Honestly, it might not be a bad spot. So what I'm thinking is we definitely have to take kind of the best cheap players we can early, as obviously later in the draft you have all those like veterans that are overpaid, they're available, and they're higher rated, but to be able to get those guys, we got to get some cheap contracts right now. And you can see not many there. I guess Barkov 5.9, Gaudreau 6.7, like those are pretty good. Let's see, is anyone else? I mean, McAvoy at 4.9 for 90 overall defenseman, that's actually really solid as well. But honestly, guys, I'm thinking about it, Ovi might be worth his cap hit just because he's good for like 50 plus goals, and we're trying to win the Stanley Cup in the first year. So let's take Ovechkin there at pick 14. Obviously, it's going to make it tougher to build this team. Bergeron, 6.8. Bergeron's really good two-way center. That's not that much money either for 91. Couturier, though, 4.3. Saves a couple $1 million. Jason Robertson, 87, only costs $1 million. That might be the way to go, especially Bergeron could still be there by the third round. I think Robertson for that cheap. He is not. Malkin's there. Claude Giroux, though, is still there. 4.2 because he's at 50% retention, so we kind of get him cheaper than we really should. Fiala, okay, I'm wondering if Giroux would still be there in another round. I think Robert Thomas, 2.8, one overall lower, way cheaper. Giroux could still be there by this. There we go, yeah. So that was worth it. I think we got to take him at this point, though. 4.2, it's a bit of money. Now we got to start finding some really cheap deals. I think goalie, definitely wait on. You can usually get some cheap. Although Jack Campbell, 86, 1.6 million. Although Husso, 84, costs nothing. Same with Peterson. Is Campbell worth like that extra money? He might be. Let me just see the other skaters that are here. A guy like Drew Doughty, for instance, we can just not take. Okay, so you got Mark Giordano here, $1 million salary. If you guys are wondering, the reason for this is to make sure the Leafs are below the salary cap so the rest of the contracts don't get skewed. And then, of course, he's already extended to $800K, so that's fine. I think the same's happening there with Brian Rust. Giordano, Rust, Campbell. I think they're the picks right now. Evander Kane, $1 million. Again, I lowered his from $2 million just to keep the Oilers under the max. These are the guys we got to go for. Mangiapane, also really cheap. I'm trying to think. Kane's a bit younger than Giordano, so Giordano might still be there for a bit. 37. Rust there's 29. I'm thinking of Evander Kane. He's got a couple X factors on him, I believe. Next here, maybe we'll go for Campbell. Giordano is still there. Same goes for Brian Rust, so I think Kane was the pick. Campbell's gone. We got Husso there. You got Vanacek. I feel like we can probably wait 1 or 2 more rounds for a goalie. And you know what, guys? I just realized we actually don't have a defenseman yet, so we have to take Giordano right now because we need some D. This team's definitely going to be tough to build. We got 30 million left here. Okay. I think also I want to make sure I get a good goalie. Crap. So the cheap 84s are all gone. They took Husso and they took Vanacek. Are you kidding me? Guess we could wait now on Kakinen. And looking at defense here, guys, since we already actually have like our top 6 basically filled out, and all the defensemen pretty much are expensive, which makes this tough. Josh Manson 2.1 because he's got the 50% retention. Yeah, most demon are Shillington 750K could be the move. You know what, guys? I'm gonna go Shillington there. I think his contract's just too good. And again, if we save some money here in earlier picks, we can get a guy like Pavelski at the end if we have some money still to spend. And right now, guys, I'm looking at Rickard Rakell here, only making 1.7 again because he got traded at 50%. I think he'll fit fine in the top 6, especially if he ends up on a line with Ovi. Waiting on our goalies still just because there's a lot available. Quick, Reimer. Reimer's probably the guy we're going to go after. Do we take him right now? Number 9, 84 overall goalie. Ranta there. I guess we could take Reimer because we got to make sure we have a decent goalie. 2.2 is a bit more than I wanted to spend, but not the end of the world either. And honestly, guys, Ryan Suter here, 85 overall, only making 3.6. That's not too bad for a defenseman. He's obviously older too, but would help us, get a decent top 4D. Martinez there's 5.25. I think we do have 6 forwards now, so I'd like to get that top 4D filled out. For our 4th defenseman here, guys, I'm actually looking at Nico Mikkola. Hopefully he ends up on our bottom pair if we have enough money to get somebody else, but an 81 for 800K is really good value, so we'll get him now. Again, my thinking is hopefully we have extra money at the end. We get kind of these overpriced guys, like even a Jonathan Toews, we have the money. Ryan Getzlaf, 12 million, that's because the Ducks were way under the salary cap floor after all those trades they made at the deadline. Riley Smith, $1 million, kind of same thing. Vegas was too far over. Riley Smith would actually be really good for us. Let's take him there. I'm surprised no other computer would take him because that's a really good contract. Now, Kevin Shattenkirk making 3.9 here. I don't mind that. It'll bring us into the 30s. We still have $30 million to spend, about half the team left. That would put Mikkel out of the bottom pair. So let's do Shattenkirk. We only need one more defenseman, so we kind of wait on that. Try and fill out these forwards here. In terms of goalies even, we could sign Antti Raanta to be a solid backup behind Reimer. $2 million. I don't really mind that. We get a decent goalie tandem. So that's set. I think that's like the fastest I've ever gotten my goalies. Now we could probably pay a bit more money here for a forward. I'm trying to think who's worth it. So the cheapest 83 would be Dadonov at $5 million. He's a sniper. Pretty good shot there in hands. Brings us to $40 million. So we'll have $20 million left for the last 5 guys, which is still an average of $4 million a player, which isn't that bad. Let's do that. Let's take Dadonov. And look who's still available on defense, guys. Zdeno Chara, 81 overall, only making $750K. Obviously, he's really good bottom pairing D-man, I think. Still pretty good defensively. Really good physical, big shot. I think Chara there is a steal. So defense is set, goaltending set. All we gotta do now is grab some forwards. And like I was saying, we can still pay about $4 million per forward, which is really good. JVR might be a bit too much. Radulov could probably fit in, 83. He's got some stats, maybe on the third line with Dadonov. Could be kind of a sick Russian connection. Paul Stastny, 82. Let's try Radulov here. We got $12.5 million to spend. I'm actually looking at Mikael Backlund here to be like third or fourth line center. I didn't realize we have mostly wingers. Really good defensive stats, pull up on the PK. Don't mind kind of overpaying on him. And so we have 2 more picks left here. And again, we got, what is that, like $7 million. So I'm thinking maybe Jason Spezza's gone. I was actually going to go Spezza. Jeez, okay, so I actually kind of want Dustin Brown. Oh, no, actually, sorry, Spezza is still there. So maybe we go Spezza between him and Backlund. They have 3 and 4C. And then we get Dustin Brown to be kind of that physical guy on the fourth line. Patrick Hornqvist could also do that for us, power forward. He has Crease Crasher too, which might help with chemistry. Although Brown there does have Born Leader Truculence. So I think guys are going to take Jason Spezza with the first pick because he's cheaper. And of course too, we need a center. And then our last pick here will be either Hornqvist or Brown, both available. And you can see we have about $6.5 million in cap space. This worked out pretty perfectly. For a fourth liner, does Brown do more than Hornqvist? Probably. So we'll go Brown there, and I think that'll bring us like right to about 61 million. And yeah, look at that, guys. Team cap hit 59.5. So we did have an extra $1.5 million to spend, but I'm still pretty happy with the team. Alright guys, around the franchise mode, I just finished adding the lines. As you can see, we're currently 6-0 in the preseason. Claude Giroux there's got 12 points in 6 games, so he's averaging 2 points a game. Hopefully he can keep that up. For you guys to look at the team, we've got Ovi, Giroux, and Robertson on the first line getting a +5. They should be nasty. Radulov, Thomas, and Kane on the second get a +2. Dadonov, Spezza, Raquel on the third, with Brown, Backlund, and Smith on the fourth line, getting a +1, which isn't too bad. Defensively here, Suter, Giordano, top pair gets a +5, Shattenkirk, Mikkola second, Chara, Shillington on the bottom pair get a +2. Goalies, of course, Reimer and Raanta. In terms of special teams here, guys, we get a +5 on the first 4-man, +5 on the first power play, all forward, it's stacked. The PK here, +3 and a +1. The 3-mans, 2 zeros. Surprisingly, Shillington and Shattenkirk fit better on the PK opposed to Chara and Mikkola, even though they're both offensive defensemen. Not really sure how that one worked. Also, actually wanted to show you guys something funny. So once we finished our draft, obviously the AI comes in, drafts the rest of your team, and the next pick they made was Ryan Getzlaf. So can't use him, but he's buried in the AHL there. Kind of fitting, I guess, to have the captain on this team. Speaking of which, I'll actually show you guys the captaincy here. Had to give Ovi the C. He was our first pick, but I didn't realize I left retired jerseys on, and of course Teemu Selanne's jersey is retired for the Ducks, so we got Ovi ranked 88 there. Giroux and Giordano are the other 2 A's. Hopefully, no one's too upset about that. So, honestly, I feel like this is a decent team. Should be a playoff team with the Stanley Cup, of course, mostly luck-based. But what do we have here? 96 offense, 89 defense, 85 goaltending. And now, if it was up to me, we'd definitely be rocking these jerseys every single game. And I mean, Scrooge McDuck is a Disney character, so maybe Disney, buys the Ducks back. We go back to being the Mighty Ducks, but he's still not willing to spend on the team. Either way, guys, we're going to start with the sim now and see how this team does. So around the trade deadline, guys, with a record of 35, 25, and 3. Honestly, whether or not we make the playoffs is going to be super close. Currently in a wild card spot, we're actually tied 2 for third in the division. 1 point back, the Golden Knights for second, but then Oilers Kraken there, both 72 on our tail, 1 point back. Even the Sharks there with 68. Looks like the Central Division's doing a lot worse than us. So it's going to be a battle here at the end of the season. Ovi's got 74 right now and 63 with 42 goals. That's why I took him with our first round pick. The dude just, good for 50 goals every single season. So hopefully can hold on to a playoff spot here because obviously once you get in, anything can happen. At the end of the season here, guys, we have a record of 43, 31, and 8, which is honestly a pretty solid year, and we just squeaked into the playoffs with 94 points. The Golden Knights 1 point back of us. We were tied there with the Kraken, who have an identical record to us, so they must have more regulation or overtime wins. Wow, if we were in the Central there, it'd be 1 win back of first place. So yeah, the Pacific there just dominated. We'll see here, leading scorer was actually Giroux. 95 points, 64 assists. I feel like Giroux's such a good playmaker. Him and Ovi would be a great duo if they were played together. Looking at the East here, we still would have been a playoff team. Senators there at 94 points, same as us. Even in the Metro there, yeah, 94, 95, 96. So we had the toughest division by far. We'll see how Ovi did, the rest of the guys on this team. He had 92 there, 52 goals. Might be good enough for Maurice Richard. Robertson 86. Still an 87, even though he had over a point per game. I thought he might have jumped up to an 88 already. Robert Thomas was a point per game. He also hasn't changed rating. Good to see that, though, from those top 4 guys, especially Thomas, because not playing as much. Radulov 65, Kane 63, Raquel there, Spezza both 50 plus, same with Dadonov. Shane Kirkler, D-man scoring with 35, which isn't too bad. Overall, yeah, pretty happy with how this team did. Goaltending wise, let's see. So neither guy was a 900 save percentage. Both over 3 goals against, which is kind of tough. But what are you going to do, I guess? Look at the entire NHL here. Gaudreau led scoring, 109, followed by McDavid on the Flames. Ooh, Edmonton fans, you hate to see that. Did Ovi 52 goals? He tied McDavid. Okay, so I think they share the Maurice Richard, if I remember correctly. Defensive scoring, Yossi 102. So he popped off. Don't think we got any rookies. Best goalie there, Fleury on the Flames, 42 wins. And you had Demko here, the .917. See, we needed goaltending like that for our team. And he was tied with Hart there for the best goals against for a starter. So, yeah, like I said, maybe the goalie's going to, kind of be our downfall here in the playoffs. Entire league, you only had 3 teams 100 plus, which makes sense. Fantasy draft, everyone's going to have, a very decent team, a lot of parity. We were the 14th best team in the NHL. I mean, speaking of parity, you had 4 teams there with 94, 3 with 96, 2 with 95. I think you had 2 more with 93, so yeah, it was so close. Wow, look at this. Winnipeg and Chicago, 18 and 20 get in. Yeah, hate to see that. Just not fair to the other teams. Rangers there, last NHL. I doubt we're first in goals for, goals again. We are first in goals for. Wow, I didn't think our offense was that good. Apparently it is. That's very cool. Goals against, we obviously did not have the best. In fact, we actually had the 6th worst. Okay, so we are just a high-scoring team. Let's see how that works for us here in the playoffs. And of course, in the last wildcard spot in the West, we have the Calgary Flames first round. They've got Brady Tkachuk, who joins his brother's team. McDavid there joins the arch rivals team. Come on. The rest of their offense is quite lacking. Really not a lot of depth, especially in that bottom 6. D-Wise, Brodin, Pionk, Burns, Schmidt's a solid top 4. Fleury and net. Okay. This team isn't too bad. Definitely wish we would have taken Fleury maybe when we had that extra cap space, but I didn't know we were going to have it. So we'll just sim here the first round. We're actually up 2. It's going to go to Game 7. I got to stop it. Oh, I wanted to stop it. We win Game 7 against the Flames. The wild card team, the 8th seed, beats the 1 seed. Wow, that's crazy. Giroux there, 13 and 7. He's going off. We'll take a look at the Sharks team next. See what we're going up against. I mean, we beat the Flames, so I think won the President's Trophy. We can beat anybody. Mangiapane, Tavares, Lafreniere there. Bathurst on the second line. They got a decent bottom 6. Defensively, they have Spurgeon, nobody else, really. Vasilevsky and net. I was thinking they had a good goalie, because when the forwards and defense are looking pretty average, they probably took an elite goalie somewhere in the early rounds. Alright, so let's see what happens here, guys. First 2 games in San Jose, OT loss, OT win. We then lose 1 at home. Come on, tie it up. This isn't good. We're down 3 games to 1 here. Have to win the next 3 straight. And there you have it. The Sharks beat us in 5. Honestly, though, I feel like that's still pretty decent considering the fact our team's cap hit was $20 million below everyone else's. I'll take that. Giroux there, 17 and 12. Actually, guys, I take that back. The Sharks here had $20 million in cap space as well. So I didn't realize they also had Scrooge McDuck as their GM, and they just built a better team, apparently. Actually, guys, I figured out why we lost. Look at Vasilevsky's stats so far these playoffs. 8-1-1, .924, 2.57. That's pretty impressive for high scoring. And look at this, guys. Clearly this was a fantasy season as the Toronto Maple Leafs there took home the Stanley Cup. Let's see their road here. Bruins in 6, swept the Senators, swept the Sabres, and then they beat the Sharks in 6. They found a way to get by Vasilevsky. I'll have to take a look at their team, actually, after we see the awards here. I mean, we beat the President's Trophy winning team, so that's pretty impressive, I'd say. Gaudreau, Art Ross, McKinnon, Hart, Yossi, James Norris, Ehlers, Lady Bing, Raymond Calder with the Devils, Kucherov, Conn Smythe, Hart there got the Vezina. Interesting, I thought it was Demko or Fleury, but I guess it makes sense since their team had the lowest goals against. DeMello there, Bill Masterton, Blue Jackets coach Jack Adams, O'Reilly, Silky, McKinnon, Ted Lindsay, and then McDavid there with Ovi, Maurice Richard. They did us dirty there. You only get like one little line of Ovi. You don't even get the picture. Come on. So, like I was saying, I'll go take a look at that Maple Leafs team. Take a look at the Stanley Cup winning roster. You can see they still had 9.5 in cap space, which isn't too bad. Kucherov, Kopitar, Pietrangelo, Jones there. How'd they get Seth Jones? Oh, 5.4 before he gets the raise. Okay. Deneau, Perron, Michael Bunting, Everly there, Jamie Benn. I'm surprised this team's $10 million below the max cap. Oh, wow. They signed Edward Vlasic once he hit free agency. Okay, so that definitely helps out. Overall, yeah, it looks like a pretty good team. Darcy Kemper was their starting goalie. 87, making 3.5. That's big. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit sub button down below. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.